Welcome back to Film and Game Composers. Meena Shamaly with you, and we're still looking at Strezov Sampling's Aleatoric Modular Series Brass. This time looking at the low brass installment of the bundle. So, on its own, it would cost $110. You get a bit of a discount as part of the bundle. But as we said, their modular approach means you don't have to buy any section you don't really want. So you can just buy the low brass itself. So again, we're looking at the whole point of this Strezov Aleatoric Modular series is for it to be user-guided aleatoric orchestral sample libraries, which means you're not just stuck with a bunch of one-shot orchestral effects samples. So as we've been seeing in the other sections, it's there's a large scope for control. So in this part of the library, you get 2 tenor trombones, 2 bass trombones, and a tuba in the Sophia Session Orchestra Hall. Quick rundown of the specs again. Kontakt 4 full version or higher. We're on Kontakt 5 now, 5.4 or something. You get a whole bunch of lip bends, flutter bends, all these articulations that we're going to explore. Everything is recorded normal and muted. And the control is guiding dynamics and variations via mod wheel or any CC of your choice. A bunch of dynamics. Here's four dynamics on most patches. You get 4 mic positions plus the mixed mic. And perfect for scoring trailers, games, and film, as we've said in the other videos. So, this library unpacks at 12 gigabytes when you download it, when you install it. And installation is pretty easy, as we've said. Manual links, you can just unzip these RAR files or extract these RAR files and point Kontakt to them. Or they have an installer, which I haven't used, but there is an installer provided by Strezov. All right, so we've loaded up the brass, the low brass, which you can get either from the Files tab or the Quick Load browser. Not in the library because this is the full version of Kontakt is required. So, it loads up with these articulations as standard lip bends, flutter bends, and jitters, both normal and muted. So let's just get straight into the articulations. So this is what the lip bends sound like. It's pretty nasty. You got your flutter bends. And you got your jitters. You got muted variations of those, of course. So that's some really kind of mean sounding stuff. The other articulations you can use, of course, it gets sustains as they've included in the rest of the library. So we'll load up both the normal and the muted. So the normal sustains sound like this. It's a big section. There you go. Oh, that's as high as it goes. So as you can see, the thing I've commended is how smoothly the dynamic layers blend into each other. So the muted articulation sounds great as well. So what I'll do is I'll quickly audition the different mic positions as we've done in the other videos. So here we go. So start off with the close for the lip bends and move up to the Decatree, Outrigger, and Balcony, and full mixed down version. As you can tell in the close, there's quite a bit of breathing sound, because you're that close to the players, and it requires a lot of air for these low instruments. And one thing you can do if you want to eliminate a bit of that noise is the low pass filter. Which really works with these lower instruments, because they're not always going to be that bright, So it really kind of helps reduce the amount of that. And that's the whole point of a lot of the Strezov libraries, is that they're looking for as natural a sound as possible. So they're not going to overprocess the sound for you, which, is great in this era of a lot of sample libraries can be too polished, and that's when they start sounding unnatural. So yeah, that's what it is. So there's quite a bit captured in that full mix. So if you check the flutter bends. So there's several options there. Jitters. And I feel that these perspectives help more in the mix for tone rather than distance. That's just me. I feel like for distance, I'll be able to push it back either using this or with my reverb or however else I want to do it. But the full version actually sounds really great. Then we'll just use the Sordina versions of all these. The outriggers seem to sound more chaotic. You know what I mean? Sonically. But yeah. Like, that's the other thing. The tone also includes how much chaos there is. So yeah. Then you got jitters. There's quite a bit to play with. Quickly play the sustains with different mic positions. The close mic position is really nice. And it really sounds different to the Decatree. The outriggers sound really fat in the balcony. Kind of feels like slightly different version of the Decatree. Oh yeah, the full version. So that's a lot more rounded, I suppose. So try that with the Sordino. Try the Decatree. Try the outrigger. Balcony. Balcony sounds a little thinner, I think, which, depending on the context of your track, could be exactly what you want. So it's quite a lot to play with there in terms of these mic positions. Again, we got random start. As I've said, I really wish, it's great, Ew. Because it gives you a more aleatoric take on the aleatoric samples. I just wish there was more of a controlled start if I wanted. So maybe another slider that says, controlled offsets or just offsets. So it's up to you how much into the sample you exactly want to cut. Because as I said, it's all fine and well when the players are doing something different every time, but once you've recorded them, they're doing the same thing every time in that recording. It's not a big deal, and certainly nothing I'm going to be upset about. I'm just saying it's something I wish were there. So yeah, there we go. Quickly, I will play some mixed articulations. So maybe it'll lip bends to jitters, and as I've done before, I had a transformer here, because CC2 is the one to mix between articulations, and I'm going to use a different controller to control CC2. So if I go from bends to jitters, could even be nice for a riser. It's like, kind of thing, And the same thing can be done with... Oh, no, that's not what I meant. Mixed. Look at mixed. Same thing can be done over here with the muted versions. And a lot can be done there, so it's pretty cool. Now, last but not least, actually not last but not least, but the next thing are cluster splits. So, gotta go, as I've demonstrated in the other videos, but I'll just quickly demonstrate it here as it pertains to the low brass. And CC71 will control deviation. And then you can activate an extension. Maybe a further extension. So as I said, this is a great feature. I just wish that these two would be more independent. You can control them independently, but you can't get an extension without the deviation. So I wish that this scripted extension, this extra pitch bend, could be done further with the like on its own without the deviation. But again, it's not a game breaker. It's not a deal breaker. It doesn't stop me using the library at all. So it's all good. It's all good. It's just something I wish were there. That's it. It's more of a wish. Last but not least, we're going to look at the rips and falls, of which we have, again, muted and non-muted. So non-muted rips and falls, which I'm going to pitch down. Sorry. Now, as you can see, because we're using the full version of the library and I've got all the mic positions loaded, it can get pretty heavy on RAM. I've just got 3.5 gigabytes of RAM on here. If I turn off all the mic positions, except the one I'm using, get 0.7 gigabytes. If I load up the light version, the only difference is it doesn't use the random start because it doesn't need to cut into the sample. You get 22 megabytes. So obviously, this can be a bit heavier on your RAM if you're running low. So just a word of warning to be aware. And maybe the random start isn't something you're that worried about. And maybe it is. There you go. So yeah, got our rips and falls. Here is the non-tempo synced version. So mod wheel, that's a fall, and mod wheel up, it's a rise. Put it with the Sordino. See what I mean? So So that's pretty cool. You can obviously now use the Time Machine Pro version, which will sync to the tempo of your project. Now, the only thing I've got here, it works much the same as the other libraries. So it's a bit loud here. Now, if you notice, I'm trying to key switch between those two, and it's not changing. For me, anyway. And I had a look over here, and it seems to be triggering both the stopped and the non-stopped version. So if I, with the fall. Both of them are being triggered over here. And I figured that for me it was the group start options, because it's not actually registering the key switch over here. For some reason, I don't know if that's just my patch or if it's universal across the board. What I've gone ahead and done is, low brass. What I've gone ahead and done is I've loaded up I've just changed that part of it so that it actually fixes that problem. So now, let's put that down. So now for me, it lights up what it's supposed to light up. Again, this might just be my patch. I've just gone ahead and fixed it. If the guys at Strezov Sampling think that perhaps I had some kind of a faulty thing and they had it right all along, then my apologies, and I'm welcome to be corrected. But I've just shown you what I've got, so that's my issue. But yeah, with the pitch, with the tempo, of course. Let me just put it up. So this seems to you kind of need to know where in the beat you're trying to land. So and if I just make that double time. So maybe you can do that maybe just a touch afterward. See what I mean? So yeah, it just takes kind of knowing exactly what was intended. But that's not a big deal at all. The fact that it is tempo synced and kind of adapts to the tempo of your track is a pretty great bonus, because not a lot of risers do that, like rises and falls and that kind of thing in whether it's sound design libraries or orchestral libraries or anything, can actually do that, which can be very useful if you need it. So yeah, so there we go. So this is the low brass, and overall, as we've seen a lot of control is afforded to the user in these and in this whole collection of libraries, and that makes it well worth the price for me. I mean, less than $300 for a full section library, full orchestral section library, with that amount of effects, I think is pretty much worth it. And you've heard it, and sonically as well. When it's sonically captured this well, I don't feel I'm getting compromises on the quality of sound. I'm very happy about that. So we're good. We're done. So that is the last part of the Aleatoric Modular series brass library. A library well worth its cost in many ways, and a lot of value for money. I hope this review has been helpful and entertaining at least, and I hope this has given you a deep enough insight into what this library is all about and what it sounds like. So until the next review, stay safe, stay creative, and I'll see you then.